Good afternoon, everyone. This is Alex Gerchik from Gerchik Co and today is the third Wednesday, and we start with our usual recommendations that we have for you. If you follow our recommendations, sometimes they work exceptional well, sometimes they work just well. This week they worked extremely well. Our clients, they did made a lot of money, and please watch out for them. But just don't forget to be very careful with the recommendations, trading stops and everything else, and trade accordingly to your risk parameters. We start as usual with a euro dollar. Our recommendation were buy above 110 or sell below 108. If you can see, once basically that's our recommendation was in March of 07, see 7th of March. The euro was 110. We said if it stays above 110, just buy. It's going to go much higher. If you can see, anybody who bought the euro above 110 made it almost 400 points. The euro did very well. Second of our recommendation was a British pound. British pound, we recommended to buy anything above 142. Just for you to understand, I'm showing you the page. I'm sorry. That's the page with our recommendations. You see, euro, British pound, and now I'm going to show you the chart. Okay, we'll start again with the euro. Our recommendation on March 7 was buy euro above 110. Euro went above 110 and went all the way up to 114. Perfect. Second recommendation was a British pound. British pound by above 142. That's a British pound on the March 7 right here. Buy British pound above 107. I'm sorry, above 142, and it went all the way up to 145. Right now we have a recommendation. If it's going to go below 143, that's the British pound is going to be in the downtrend. Next one is Australian dollar. Australian dollar is buy above 74. As you can see, Australian dollar is a perfect recommendation. It stays above 0.74. It did extremely well. It went all the way up to 0.675. If it's basically right now staying above that level, it's extremely strong recommendation. Another one is the New Zealand dollar. New Zealand dollar was up by above 0.685. If you can see, New Zealand dollar did not go above 0.685, so it did not do anything. Right now, it's, if you can see, there's an extremely tight range between 0.6550 to 0.6850. It's an extremely tight range. That's what it is. Canadian dollar. Canadian dollar, it was a strong recommendation, buy above 0.75. If you can see, once anybody who bought above 0.75, it did extremely well. Right now it went up. It had the false breakout. If it's going to go to this level to 0.75, this is going to change the direction, because if you can see, Canadian dollar did a very big run, extremely huge run for almost 15%. Actually, it's more than 15. It's almost 20%. And right now, it doesn't have too much energy to go higher. So if Canadian dollar is going to stay below 0.75, we can have a very, very strong move to the downside. Japanese yen, 6J, I was a recommendation to buy above 0.875. If you can see, if it stays above 0.75, there's a March 7th right here. If it stays above 0.75, 875, it's going to go much higher. If you can see, it stays above 0.75, and it did extremely huge run. Next one was gold. Gold still going higher. We were expecting it 1300, but unfortunately it didn't go that far. Right now the gold is in the tight range, 1200 by 1280, you see, and it's not going to go, hopefully it's not going to go out of it. So right now you can basically trade it from 1280 to 1220. That's the very, very tight range. And the last one, it was the oil. It was a pure recommendation to buy oil on the March 7 above 36 right here, you see, March 7 above 36, and the oil did extremely well. My friends, what I want to tell you, a lot of times you see the recommendation, you don't know what to do. You can write me an email at agerchik@gmail.com, and I'll be more than happy to answer all of your questions. If we're going to have a big, strong demand from overseas, from actually English-speaking people, just write me an email and I'll be more than happy to answer it. It was Alex Gerchik. We'll see you again in 2 weeks. And thank you very much.